Welcome, everybody, to the McKinsey Network. Deborah Benefield here, live from Sandy Beach, California. Good to see everybody, and thank you for joining us. We have a fantastic episode today. I'm bringing on a dear friend who we have been in many networking groups together. We've traveled actually the world together, because I think we went to Europe together too, to an event. And just a very sweet lady, lives in Marin, California, beautiful area. And her name is Jill Lublin. And Jill is an all-time best-selling author. She trains people how to get their name out there by publicity. So I'm going to let Jill tell you a little bit more about her experience, how long she's been doing this, and we're going to talk about why I picked her or I chose her to do the Careers from Home today. So let's go ahead and start with you, Jill.
Thank you, Deborah. So good to be here with you always. I always treasure our moments together. And one of the things, being the author of 4 books, is that, frankly, what I'm really passionate about is helping people get their message out, get visible. And then I run an intentional kindness community. So I teach a virtual interactive publicity course and run a kindness circle. So those are some of the other things that I do. And then I know you had some great focus for me. Tell me where and how you'd like to talk.
Yeah, sure. So one of the big things is how did you get started in this? What really got you wanting to get in this type of profession? What was your background before you got into this?
So a couple of things that I've been doing was going to law school. Can you believe it? Yes, I was going to be an attorney. And then I got to law school. Now, you know me, right? And that law school is not a good place for this mind, meaning I'm very creative and intuitive. And it's just, law school is very linear. I mean, it's great. And I totally think it's wonderful for lots of folks, but apparently not for me. So I dropped out of law school. However, during it, I actually really wanted some interesting things to do. Like, how could I get through this? So I started my career actually in the music business while I was in law school. And then that kind of kept going. That wonderful thing about how we find our passion and our path, sometimes by seeming accident. Well, of course, it's never an accident. We know that. But what it was a wonderful, circuitous way for me to get actually into promotion and publicity, which I do love and I am good at and gifted at. And that was where it started, actually in law school, then onto the music business, and then onto my own business, running my own PR agency, and now consulting and speaking all over the world.
Did you ever do anything as a child that was kind of an entrepreneurial type of thing? Any kind of interest that you had as a kid or wrapped around that of having your own business or anything like that?
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about that? Because a lot of times what I find to happen is, as little kids, we always say, oh, I want to do this when I grow up. I want to do that. But we show these different skills throughout our childhood and our teenage years that actually turn out to be our gifts that we have. So what was yours?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things. Well, number one, I was a Girl Scout. Okay. So not only do I know how to make a fire and tie a knot, well, okay, not the knot so much, but I do know how to make a fire. But I loved earning my badges, right? And I loved selling those Girl Scout cookies. And
I love those Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, they're amazing, right? Who can say no to Girl Scout cookies? So that made it easier. But I always had I had a paper route. I had a paper route at the age of 11. So yes, I was entrepreneurial. Yes, I was interested in doing things that were unusual. Like at 11 also, I consigned an artist. I actually hired an artist to draw a rainbow on my wall. Now, and I actually paid him for it all by myself from my babysitting money and my paper girl money. And those were times, I must admit, where paper girls weren't so, shall we say, they weren't quite as seen, right? So people kept saying the paper boy. And I remember knocking on somebody's door and trying to collect the money for the paper. And I remember the guy looks at me and goes, "Hey, the paper boy's here." I'm like, I definitely didn't look like a boy, but I'm just saying in people's minds, like it was a paper boy, not a paper girl. So it was just funny. And I kind of always been like that, kind of, sometimes being the first woman on Tony Robbins' stage. That was really super cool. Well, that's not true. Not the first woman, but in a lineup of 24 speakers, I was the only woman on Tony Robbins' stage. So I thought that was really fun, just, for that particular event. And so it's just interesting that, yes, I've been kind of a front of the room, kind of, rule breaker, always been interested in diverse projects and ways that I could serve people and finding new ways to do things.
Great. I love it. I love it. And just wanted to ask you, so during this lockdown that we have, went through, I remember calling you and you were like, oh my gosh, I'm loving this. I mean, not in the situation that was happening in the world, but I'm loving working from home. I had no idea that I could do so much. Tell us how much you were traveling during the year. I know we talked about this. I was blown away with how much you travel to public, because you're a public speaker, best-selling author, and you get people's books out on as New York best time sellers, and you travel the world to do this for people. So obviously your schedule is always tight. You're always going here and there. How much were you traveling, would you say?
Well, and I was teaching publicity crash courses, actually in 2 cities a month. So check that out, right? So literally half the month I was gone, half the month. And now guess what? I'm virtual. I get to teach all my publicity courses online. I'm loving it. I talk to every client online. It is so awesome. I mean, I was doing that before anyway, but it's been such a breathing room, and productivity. My productivity has gone through the roof, and I've been able to do things that I frankly didn't have time to do before. Why? Because I was getting on planes and going in between cities, and all of that was wonderful. This has just been so much better and freer for me.
Do you see that you'll ever go back to the full schedule that you had necessarily, or do you think that you will really do kind of a hybrid of both of these, even more of the Zoom and versus the training, renting hotels and that type of thing?
Well, here's the great thing, Deborah, is that, I was able to so significantly reduce my expenses on delivering the publicity crash course, for example, that guess what? I reduced my pricing to all of my clients. So it's a win-win-win all the way around, right? So I don't have expensive hotel rooms or flights. They have saved a ton of money because I basically passed on the savings to all of my clients now. And they get to take this course at like a ridiculous rate, meaning a really good rate. So it is a win-win-win all the way around. And to be honest, I am not going to do the virtual publicity course live because it's really effective virtually, and it's working. And so it's kind of like, well, why would I? I mean, very occasionally I might do one in the Bay Area, and then people want to fly in from wherever they are. Terrific. So I'm thinking about that. But on the whole, what's going to happen is we will be doing them all virtually, and I've got the flow really well. We're doing live and interactive breakouts. I mean, it's just a good flow, and I think it feels really nice that I don't need to go fly in the same way, nor do I want to. See, now I've gotten a taste of this, like including even my local meetings. I remember there's this local meeting. I always wanted to get to it. They would do it at 7:30 in the morning. And I don't know about you, but that just was not my best time of day.
Well, I've traveled with you. I know that you're not the morning, yeah, I know.
I don't hit it hard in the morning, not usually, unless I really have to, right? And they wanted me at the event. I had to actually drive almost an hour to get there. And so guess what happened in Zoom and COVID times? They switched their meeting to 8:30 because they could, and they could still get it all done in 90 minutes. And guess what? I could make all those meetings. I never was able to make all those meetings before. It's things like that were so magnificent. I call it the Corona bonus, right? The things that really worked were, especially, and I think for all of us, we really learned about what do we really want to get in the car and go do or not?
Yeah. Yeah, really and truly. That's so true. The other one of the other big topics that I wanted to ask you about now, just so you know, we've talked a little bit about this, and audience, just to let everybody out there know, this series is done so that we're having the newest person who just maybe left their company, had that kitchen idea, and is working from home from their kitchen table. They might even be working out of in their bedroom. You know, they might live in a small place and the kids are out running and they're trying to keep everything quiet so that they can get their dreams and their things to come up and happen. And then we have like yourself. How many years have you been in business now? How many years in this company?
I am close to 30 years.
Right. So yeah. So 30 years. So people like yourself, CEOs of companies, are realizing, I don't need to go to the office like I used to. I can spend that money and give it back in value to my clients, right? I can help. I can offer different size packages to fit everybody's needs and offer things to help everyone. So I think it's really great. I'm glad to have someone of your background and experience on. And one of the big things that I did want to touch on too is writing books. Because you've got 4 behind you, and I really would like you to point those out because these are amazing. This Profit of Kindness book. Can you just kind of highlight what got you, why you decided to write these, and what is it? Did they all went bestseller, right?
Oh, they certainly did. And like the Profit of Kindness, for example, got written because of an 85-year-old friend that I'm dear friends with for over 30 years, who we were talking about kindness as the new currency. And she was grateful for my kindness to her. And that's how that book was born, because somebody said something that sparked. And I think for all of us, we have to listen. What is something that somebody says to you that sparks a moment, like, ooh, that's really good. And that's what that sparked. And not only that, but it's gotten tremendous press. It's a time that we need kindness more than ever, right? And I don't think there are ever any accidents. And this one was not exactly planned, but it worked. And I'm so grateful and feel so blessed by its success. Guerrilla Publicity is actually one of my signature books, meaning it's in its 3rd edition now. Super excited about that. And, it's just chock full of get it done publicity, and do it so that it's effective and doesn't cost you a fortune. So I love Guerrilla Publicity. People ask me, what's your favorite book? It's like, asking what's your favorite kid, but certainly what I know is that it's really impacted a lot of people's lives. And that's important to me.
Great. And the other two?
The other two is get noticed, get referrals. And that's about creating that referrals for your business and how to get more of them. And then Networking Magic, which John Gray talks about on the front cover, about how it will change your life. Super excited to have his endorsement from John Gray. But that's about how to network effectively. And in fact, Deborah features some wonderful places where you and I met, like CEO Space and other great organizations.
Yeah, I love that. I love all the CEO Space connections that we've been able to really build those relations, keep those relationships and grow them during this hard time where a lot of people didn't know what to do. They might have had to go and do a different line of work and give up on their business because they did not know what to do to fix it. Where we came in and we were kind of like the safe harbor, as Bernie Dorman, the founder, right when we were going through COVID, I think he did a big event talking about that being the safe harbor, because we have those relationships, connections, and we have that servant's heart. And you sure do have that servant's heart, Jill, because the Profits of Kindness, you live that every day. You are always connecting people. You're always looking for the best interest. You're always offering suggestions, whether people might be open to them or not. You're gonna say what you think because you've been doing this for so long. And I know myself, writing my book, you were a big inspiration. My mom and me and her cancer story. And those of you that don't know, I wrote a book during COVID, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. and from the longest for alternative healthcare from the longest bone cancer survivor. And I will tell you, Jill, I sent her the cover. I'm like, what do you think of this, Jill? I went to her publicity classes to learn how to become a #1 bestseller, which I did on Mother's Day. And I just think if it wasn't for you, Jill, and our community at CEO Space and our other connections and some of our other networking groups, I don't know how I would have been able to have done that. And one of the biggest things that I noticed doing that is, and two questions I have to ask you, because this is really about down to the business thing and getting people's names out and really branding what they do and branding their company. In your opinion, do you feel like everybody should have a book out for some topic relating to them, their business, something? And can you expand on that?
So a couple things, listen, a number of my clients don't have a book out, don't even need to get a book out, like an interior designer I worked with, although I did inspire her to put together a bit of a guide to putting your best kitchen together. And do I think you must have a book out? Well, it's better to have a book out? Yes. Why? Because you can use it as a, shall we say, justifiable reason to really get a PR campaign going. But I got plenty of clients who don't have a book, don't want a book, don't need to do a book. Maybe they're a consultant, or like the interior designer's case, or in real estate. I have numbers of people in real estate. Here's the truth. What matters is you just need to get your message out. No matter what your business is in, it's all about your message. It's all about getting it out there. And do books help? Yeah, listen, for 18 years, like you mentioned in my intro, I've been helping people get major book deals, and helping self-published authors get foreign rights deals. And I love that. But that's not the only thing. The truth is you got to start with getting great media and getting people to pay attention to you so that you get more prospects, so that you get more business, so that you have more clients, and that you have a trust factor and a credibility factor that's escalated and elevated because you have media. That's where I want people to start, and particularly with a great message.
I love it. I love it. And can you tell us a little bit, because those that might have an interest around books, which I feel like everybody kind of has a story, even if you have like a little thin, tiny book of maybe even like a cartoon, not cartoon story, but like a kid's story or just something. It's really good to just get it out. I know for me, it just, once you get going, it just starts, ideas start coming and they flow, and you never know who's going to have an interest or who's going to be interested in your book or what you're doing. But can you explain kind of the book process for people? Because people hear about Amazon, be a best Amazon seller, of foreign books, how to get maybe a book into, how do they get books into airports and Barnes and Noble, and maybe how we get stuff into best New York bestseller. What's the difference between all of those?
Okay, that's a lot of questions. So
I know. So let's just I'm just saying in general, the kind of how it works.
Sure. So the book process is that, number one, you get an idea, right? An idea happens. And then usually with major publishers, so every one of my books is on major publishers. I'm not talking self-published or, all kinds of other possibilities that there are right now. And I'm super excited that almost anybody could have a book these days. And I think that's good news. But from a get it published through a major publisher, there's really a process. It's about having a proposal. It's about knowing that your influence is good. Meaning publishers are looking for people who can actually sell books. So you kind of have to prove that to them. Now, what I think is a great idea for jumping those waters, get it done, is getting your book either hybrid published or self-published. It's a slightly different animal there, and let's get it done. I mean, truthfully, if you go that route, you can get a book out in anywhere from 3 to 6 months, which I think is super great news. And the other thing I want to mention is, please don't try to do this alone. I mean, like every good success in life, you need a team. And I like to say it takes a village to make a book happen and multiple villages to promote it. So, as much as, listen, sometimes if you want to just get something out because that's a healing or an important piece for you, terrific, let's do it. And if you want it to serve you in business, slightly different goal there, right? Then I do think you follow a process, and happy to, help your viewers with ways that you can get it done that's right for you. But, think from self-published hybrid, which is slightly different, meaning somebody else helps you with all the technical stuff, the getting it on Amazon, all the things that actually take a lot of time. And then there's publishers who will actually publish and print your book and hopefully even pay you some money for it. So that's like there's a range of options. And do I believe that it's great to even have a book? Yes, because it does elevate your status and it enables you to be an expert and to put your message out in a way that people are paying more attention to. And that's a good thing.
Right. Excellent. So I guess one of the last things I would like to leave us with is if you could think of one of the biggest nuggets for working from home that has helped you to stay focused, because we get very distracted. I believe, just a minute ago, I think something went off. I think it was one of my emails I thought I shut off. And, we get distracted and squirrel this and squirrel that. And we're all trying to be like we're in we're in this massive office, with this oceanfront view behind us. But really, when it comes down to it, what would you advise people to do to help them to stay focused? Maybe, do you have a schedule? What is it you do with your time management to really be able to do that? And I know you have a beautiful, one of the sweetest men ever, your sweetheart, and he takes such good care of you, and you have such a beautiful home, and you guys really are very, you have a lot of quality time together. So what would you tell the audience about how you proceed with that, the work schedule and having the family time also?
Yeah, well, first of all, put yourself in your schedule. Let's just start there. Put yourself in your schedule. So if you look at my schedule, it has downtime, like when I'm doing an event and I need some time afterwards. That includes when I teach my virtual publicity course the next morning, blocked out so Jill can rest, right? Or it will, I'll put my friend time in there. So I'm very nurtured by my friend time, by my time with my spouse, by my hangout time with my kitty cats. I mean, all of these matter to me. My time in nature is very important to me. So I make sure that they're scheduled in. So that's number one, is it's got to start here, right? That means self-care. That means scheduling my time in. But I do have time blocks, right? And so every Monday at 9, you will find me on a staff meeting with my staff, right? And we're going over things. We're at least an hour on that schedule. Usually from 9 to noon is anything where I'm talking to people who are interested in my services or my publicity class. I'm talking to them. And the afternoon is filled with interviews like this wonderful one and different things that we're doing. So it tends to be time blocked. And of course, lots of exceptions. What I've learned is 80% of the time the rules work. And then 20%, you have to be flexible. You have to be, you just have to go with the flow. And especially in today's times, I've noticed that time has become a little more bendable. And so a couple things that if you look at my schedule, I am very scheduled. Why? Because if I'm not scheduled, how will I get stuff done? Now, some of that schedule will say work on, a summit that I've got. I have a Publicity Breakthrough Summit coming up. It will say in my schedule, work on that, right? And I actually put it in my schedule. And so that's been my way to keep things at least somewhat on track. And, then yet sometimes everything goes awry. I've just learned you have to adapt. You have to move quickly. Like this morning, we had something scheduled and it was somehow put in the wrong time zone. That I was part of a mastermind, put in the wrong time zone. So next I had to redo 3 people's appointments from this morning, right? It just is. And so what I've learned is in Profit of Kindness, I talk about this flexibility.
Yeah.
Patience, right? Flexibility, patience. It just is. And so, especially with today's moment, the good news is there's always more things that you can accomplish and do. And if I have to wait, I'm going to check some emails. But so I use time wisely. In other words, if there's a space of time, I'm checking some emails, I'm doing some tasks that need to be done, and I have team. And that makes a world of difference. I have team. So lots of things get handled in a day that I don't have to handle, that allow the multiplication of me, which is a good thing.
I love it. I think that is so important, is, work on what your strengths are and bring people on, especially if you're new and you don't have the budget yet. See what you can do to give a little bit of your workload over. You might have to do a lot in the beginning, but as you get growing and as your clients and your clientele builds, you can move forward, depending what your situation is and what your business is.
Well, can I say something there? Because I want to challenge your viewers and listeners to something, and that is, in today's world, you can get help so affordably. I mean, really, so affordably that there's almost no excuse for not having some support. Whether it's $3 to $4 an hour up to, $20 an hour. I mean, affordable help. So I'm going to encourage everybody, have at least 1 to 3 hours a week of somebody who supports you. And yes, you can give some tasks away and maybe they won't get it done perfectly, but done is better than perfect. Let's remember that. So right. The perfectionism.
Exactly. And there is so much. You can go online and look up virtual assistants, and you can look up, there's just companies, Fiverr's one I know, and there's so many others out there. And so we're coming right up to our time here. But before we end, what I like to do is, because at the McKinsey Network, what we do is when you come on, we always ask that you do something a little extra for our watchers. And in order to get this, folks, you're going to need to go to the McKinseyNetwork.com. You're going to look under Jill Lublin. And Jill is we're going to have this video there to watch as much as you would like. But Jill will have a special offer for us. Just us. She doesn't do this with just everybody, but Jill, I know you'll do, is there something that you can, give us that just is over the top for us all sitting here and viewing this mini series?
Well, I'm definitely giving you a fabulous publicity action guide that's chock full of great PR tips to help your message get out there in simple, easy ways. And that will be my free gift to you. And then I'm going to give you an outrageous offer for my virtual publicity crash course, which is live with me. So that'll be there too. And so looking forward to supporting all of you and helping you get your message out, because really it's my belief so in my heart that your message matters, and I want you to get it out there.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to thank you so much for taking your time out of the day and to be on our show today. And as we always say, I like to leave with, every relationship makes an impact. We'll see you next time, folks.